the Mokgoro inquiry is continuing today. And suspended NPA Special Prosecutions Director Lawrence Mrwebi has been on the stand most of today. This follows 3 weeks of damning testimony against him. The inquiry is looking into the fitness to hold office of Nomgcobo Jiba and Mrwebi, and eNCA's Govan Whittles has been keeping track of that story and that inquiry for us. Now, Govan, a lot of information coming out of Lawrence Mrwebi's testimony. We heard names today that we haven't indeed heard for a very long time. More about those allegations that were brought against him related to his involvement in supporting Jackie Selebi's bid to escape prosecutions, and of course also Richard Mdluli's name coming up there. What did you make of the information we've received from Mrwebi so far?
Certainly a lot of insight which has emanated from the testimony this morning, specifically referring to the cases that you mentioned, the Jackie Selebi prosecution, but also the reason why Advocate Lawrence Mrwebi decided to withdraw those charges provisionally against Richard Mdluli. And today he said that at the time when he went through the docket, he realized that there was nothing in the docket which directly implicated Richard Mdluli in corruption related to the purchase of those 2 BMWs. He also said that there was nothing in the docket which said that Richard Mdluli knew about the transactions that were going on, and based on that he decided to withdraw those charges. He also went into some detail explaining how there was additional information which could have been missing from the docket itself relating to whether Mdluli had permission to secure that loan from Atlantis Nissan, which of course we heard from the investigating officer he felt was pure corruption and he should have stood trial for. But in this instance, Lawrence Mrwebi saying his decisions at the time to withdraw those charges against Mdluli were based on the material evidence at his disposal. And even when he went into meetings with the Director of Public Prosecutions, Sibongile Mzimnyati, and the former prosecutor in the Mdluli case, Glenys Breitenbach, he managed to convince them thereof. Of course, Mrwebi also saying today, importantly, that even though the case against Mdluli had never been prosecuted, as far as he's concerned, he gave Glenys Breitenbach the go-ahead to actually re-enroll the case once she had spoken to the Inspectorate or the Inspector General of Intelligence. With that, he kind of washed his hands of that, saying that if there was a case, it should have been re-enrolled. But then, as you mentioned, other subjects such as the Jackie Selebi prosecution, for the first time, we heard from Lawrence Mrwebi about how his statement or his affidavit ended up in a stay of prosecution application by Selebi, saying that at the time when he made that affidavit about the controversial meeting of the Scorpions in 2007 relating to 4 big cases that they had to chase down, he didn't realize that that affidavit would be used by Selebi, saying that he had given it to a task team investigating the then infamous Browse Mole report, and they had assured him that his affidavit was to be kept top secret. He still couldn't explain to the inquiry how that managed to be declassified. It ended up in the application for Selebi. So as you said, a lot of revelations, a lot of explosive Lawrence Mrwebi trying to hit back at some of the explosive testimony against him, particularly by Willie Hofmeyer, but we're expecting that to continue after lunch.
What do you make of Mrwebi's demeanor? Does he seem like he's on top of things? Has there been some hesitancy? I see he spoke about his feelings a little bit. We were speaking about a report on the Mdluli docket that he'd requested and he didn't receive, and he said he felt disrespected for the first time in all his years at NPA. What are you reading into his behavior in the stand, as it were?
He certainly appears confident on the stand, providing intricate details about things that have happened up to 7 or 8 years ago that he still recalls. And in regard to him feeling disrespected, he said that was in response to his request for a report on the Mdluli case from Glenys Breitenbach. In response to that, he got a letter saying that the prosecutors couldn't entertain any attempts to derail the investigation, and based on that, he felt disrespected. But what we saw here, particularly in his demeanor, is a man who appears to be committed to trying to clear his name and counter some of the allegations which were specifically made by Willie Hofmeyer and Glenys Breitenbach. A lot of what he said today has focused on countering that narrative. Then again, he has also provided the insight which Breitenbach and Hofmeyer couldn't, particularly around meetings that he held with specific individuals. I have to say that just before lunch he recalled a meeting that he held with the former Hawks head Anwar Dramat on the 1st of April in 2012, saying saying that in that meeting he was told by Dramat that the Auditor General had cleared the Crime Intelligence Secret Service slush fund account of any wrongdoing, and that was also one of the considerations he made when deciding to withdraw those charges against Richard Mrwebi. But based on what we can see here, it seems as if he's confident about his story. But of course, we'll know whether or not it will stand up once he's submitted to cross-examination. That won't happen today, though, or tomorrow. We're expecting the leading of evidence to continue with Mrwebi for most of today, and then we'll hear from Nomgcobo Jiba in the hot seat tomorrow, who will also be led through her evidence.
Thanks for that update, Govan Whittles, our reporter at the Mokgoro inquiry, bringing us those